Chris, what is the one thing that truly maximizes the value of someone's home when they go to sell their property?
The agent. Clean and simple. The agent is. I couldn't care more or want to talk more about how a world-class agent will absolutely maximize the price of the property. And I reckon maybe up to 5%, in some cases more, but if you're to average it, maybe between 3 to 5%, whether that's negotiation, whether that's staging, whether that's whatever it might be, not allowing the client to dictate the price. There's so many things I could talk for hours on it, but ultimately a world-class agent, in my view, should add at least 5% onto the value of the property. It's that simple.
How is a world-class agent able to do that, and the average Joe Blogs or an average agent isn't?
It's a 25-minute podcast, so I could just carry on speaking now until the very end. Let me give an example of something I did the other day, and by no means do I think I'm the best agent in the world, but I genuinely care, right? So went out to see a property. It was on for 1.2 with a high street agent. They then dropped it to 1.1. Now I think we're in a declining market, certainly in Southeast London, where I operate. So I looked around the property and thought, this looks awful. The description's crap. The photos are awful. It's got historic leaks. The light bulbs in the bathrooms all need changing. It's not ideal. Sat down with vendor, had a really good conversation. I said, before you list this, I said, the day you list with me, it becomes a show home. Are you happy with that? And he said, yeah, okay, fine. I said, but you need to throw a good few £100 at this just to get it right. There's weeds all out the front. It's just a mess. Cut a very long story short, and I won't go into the vendor situation, but he couldn't afford to do so. He's in a bit of a sticky situation. So I got my labour around, we damp blocked, we painted one of the rooms, we pulled up the weeds, we had a general tidy. We then digitally staged the property and made it look, in my view, world class. Now, what we did is the following photo was the original, if you like. So it's digital stage, original, digital stage, original. We used an open house strategy. We pulled up all the weeds at the front. We did some really, really nice photos. The description, I had the guy ring me yesterday and said, did you write that? And it was actually my wife that wrote it, but I said yes. And he said, that's the best description I've ever seen anyone write. And the way you've marketed the property as a doer-upper, but without slagging it off, is what's intrigued me. Now, if you put all of those things together, it cost me nearly £200 to get it right for the vendor. The open house, I believe, is the best strategy for the property because it's a little bit awkward. Like I said, we digitally staged and removed a load of stuff out, and we've created, this is what it could be. I don't want to bash the old agent, but they just literally sent their photographer around and put, we are delighted to offer this 5-bedroom property a stone's throw from the station, right? General crap. And there's so many other examples. But one thing I had to do here is I had to allow the client to self-discover on 2 visits that marketing his property at £1 million was the right decision as a marketing price. And he was beating me up for 1.1. And I said, you know what, at 1.1, I wish you the best of luck. You need to go with another agent because I want to sell your property, not market it. And he finally got there. Had I have been, had KPIs and just needed to sell the property, not be able to go back to that property for whatever reason, because I was so busy, I would have let the client down and just listed at 1.1. And I think we would have wasted his time for another 3 months. So that's just one little example of a couple of things an agent can do if they genuinely care and they don't have big KPIs over them that mean they just need to list.
Is that property under offer now?
No, we've got an open house on the 30th. It'll be live over Boxing Day, which will be great for everyone. So we're recording this a couple of days before Christmas. It'll be live on the 30th, and we've got 5 people booked in for the open house.
And the thing is, though, to actually get those 5 people there, right? Buyers, would you say buyers are stupid into when it comes to actually the prices of property and knowing what they're doing? Or would you say that they're actually well versed in, do you know what?
Someone said to me the other day, buyers are liars, and often they are, right? I think, again, another example of how can the agent maximize the price of property. I had a guy ring me yesterday, really, really nice guy. He said, listen, I've seen the property, £1 million's a really good price for it, You know, I'm a cash buyer. He don't think he was a cash buyer. He was trying to educate me. So again, I spent 5 to 10 minutes on the phone. educating him on marry the property, date the rate. And in terms of if this property he was to buy, 2 years ago, it would have been at the 1.2 level. And he was trying to basically say, I'm going to come in and chip you. And after the call, he could very much see why it was worth over the million and close to the 1.1. Had I just put him in because it was about numbers and not spent that meaningful time, I guess, ensuring that he isn't a time waster and his expectation to manage before he even gets there, for me is, again, part of the process of how we get it up. So our buyers versed. Some are, some aren't, some lie. Your job as a world-class agent is to help them understand and help them edge to the maximum price they're prepared to pay to not lose that property. And it starts the moment you have the first conversation with them, not when you're walking them around the house.
So why do you think the original agent and the example that you gave, why do you think the agent has just put the property on the market with a shit description? Why have they done that? Surely
they didn't write the description. I think if I like to write mine like Enid Blyton novels, right? Or we get my wife to do it or a copywriter to do it. I sometimes do them, but people buy emotion. No one gives an absolute shit about this property is a stone's throw from local amenities, in a lower part of town. It has I know it's 5 bedrooms because the bullet points above tell me that, whether I'm on one of the portals or your website or whatever else, I don't need to waste space. I need to talk about, nestled up next to the fire on a cozy winter's night, be seasonal, talk about this would be the perfect home to spend your next Christmas in, whatever it might be. And most descriptions, I would say 90% of descriptions I see, I'm just like, this is shocking, right? People buy emotion. When you look at car ads, they don't go, check this 4.32, it's got a 500-mile range. No, it's a good-looking bloke driving through the Alps, and he's got a very nice lady sat next to him, and you're buying the emotion.
Yeah.
Estate agents miss that marketing piece. The other thing is the high street. It was a high street agent in question. I know that this brand in particular, the agent has KPIs based on listings, and he actually then doesn't go and negotiate or oversee the property. So it's almost get it, hospital pass it back, away you go. Whereas for me, a personal agent that deals with something from start to finish knows how to advise. They know the property intimately. One of the lines we often use is, my job here, John, is to know the property as well as you do. In fact, more intimately than you do. So I can go to war to get the best price the market will allow for you. Does that sound like an agent you want to work with? And it's so true. I need to know everything about that property. Yeah. Right? The direction, the gas supplier, when the boilers were serviced, what boiler is it? Are the electrics okay? Has anyone extended into the roof? What can I do under PD? I could go on and on and on, rather than glorified open the door. And as we're going around, I need to be telling the buyer what they've told me on the pre-call about why this property suits this need. So, hey, Aaron, just, you wanted to be close to the station. You must have drove past it on the way. It's pretty close, right? And you work in town. Oh, brilliant. So if you were to buy this property, how long would your commute be? And what is it at the moment? Oh, wow. Okay. So we'd halve it. That's great. The principal suite was really important for you. This is, I know it needs a bit of T&C and we need to get it painted, etc. But what did you think to it? Could you make that your own? Yes, I could. Let's get them saying yes. Let's get them going. Even down to this one, I've gone and got quotes for carpets and decoration throughout. So if someone goes, oh, it's a bit tired, we need to do, yeah, well, I've got a quote for 12 and I've got one for 15. So if you are going to offer, let's factor that in.
Fucking love that. Absolutely love that. And I think that's the difference. When an agent has got KPIs hanging over their heads, they end up making life, hopefully for them, as easy as possible day one. The problem is with easy as possible is that it doesn't produce the right results and it ends up alienating everybody. And then the agent ends up losing an instruction, which is what the sellers entrusted them in the beginning with, that they should have done a good job on. Things like that. Now, admittedly, I've not gone to that level of actually finding out like the cost of carpet and how that would look, right? But again, you could argue, well, that's a small thing. No, that's passion. That's elite level. That's going over and above. Yeah, there's no guarantee that they're even going to be using that carpet that you've just suggested. So why would you go and do it? You're doing it because, guess what? You are representing your seller. You are an extension of your client. Do you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
by allowing that seller to go on at that 1.2 mark, all they were doing was it wasn't the agent that would be accused of being greedy, it will be the seller that's being accused of being greedy, and the agent gets away with it. And it's
Yeah.
like, wow, it was the agent who suggested this just to win an instruction, just to get the KPI to, like you say, hospital pass backwards. But yeah, so I think it's easy for agents to say things that sound nice, and really hard for agents that actually know what they're doing to win instructions. However, like you've clearly pointed out, and that's the reason why people should work with you, is because you've either turned someone down from going to view a place, or you've said at 1.1, I can't help.
Yeah.
And because
sorry, and a couple of I had one on a property I'm selling for, it's in the multi-million range, where I've had it listed and then we let it, and I've relisted it now, and I've given the guy advice. I said, listen, you're going for a divorce. The way I'm looking at this property, you should refinance out. And he's like, but you won't get paid. I was like, I don't care. And he's now giving it me back just to get rid of at a lowish price, still in the middle, multi-millions. But he's like, I will only ever go with you because of the trust you installed in me. But our very first meeting, when I go in and I pitch, I say, hey, listen, 3 things are going to happen today. The first is I'm going to tell you how I'm going to overexpose your property to get the best price the market will allow. And you're going to pick me, which will be great. The second is I'm going to do exactly the same, and you're going to choose to go with another agent. And that's absolutely fine as well. The third is, if I don't feel I'm your agent of choice, I'll choose to walk away from the listing. How does that sound? Bang, straight away. They go, what? You're going to walk away? Now, I stood up at the end of this pitch, and I was up against Knight Frank and Savills, and I said, listen, you want to go on at this price. I'm telling you, this is the marketing price. I don't feel I'm your agent of choice. Thank you so much. I stood up and shook this bloke's hand. And you could tell he was thinking, what the fuck is going on? You're walking away from a massive fee. Phoned him the next day and said, listen, I'd like to do an off-market Instagram live with a big agent I know in New York. He said, I was going to phone you. He was like, yeah, you've got the listing hands down. And it starts with that trust. But what's the point of me taking it on at 4 mil if it's only worth 3.5? It's a waste of everyone's time.
Oh, absolutely.
The other thing, and I really want to get this across, is, and I'm no way the best agent. I'm learning based, and I geek up on this stuff. If to go back, why didn't the agent do X? I feel as an industry there is such a poor level of training, whether that's sales training, negotiation, and whether it's scripts, NLP, objection handling. Like I ask a lot of agents when they come to say, hey, Chris, I'm thinking about joining the estate agency. I said, no worries. I said, how's your objection handling? Oh, most agents say they're really good. What do you say if a client says, I need to think about it? Oh, well, or in 10 seconds, tell me why I should pick you over another agent. Well, the brand. And we as an industry have got so far to go. Those for me that are watching, pumped up Americans on YouTube that use sales scripts and sales psychology are going to absolutely crush it. And it's not to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. It's so that you can actively listen, and then you can work with the client to allow them to self-discover the right decision. So you're not wasting their time or yours. Someone needs to think about it. They don't need to think about it. It's just we haven't covered everything off. Or there's a bit of a niggle. Well, let's have that out now, or let's pre-sign the contract. So you need to contract in 14 days. You can do, but listen, let's put me to work. And the going and listing a property isn't hard. Going and listing a property for the right money and getting the vendor to really believe that you're their agent for life, and you have that fiduciary agreement where their needs are above yours, is a hard gig. A hard gig. But I think our training in the UK for sales psychology, negotiation, and just general how to have conversations is fucking shocking. It really, really is. And it's something that I personally want to help with next year. And a lot of people will be listening to this going, oh, that's a load of bullshit, Chris. Oh, you're still drinking the Keller Kool-Aid from when you were there. There's some gold in what our North American colleagues, Australian colleagues do. And we are so far behind. And I think if you look at, this isn't a plug for the estate agency, but if you look at what's happening now with people moving towards models where they can control their time, when they can control if they have those conversations, I think more and more people are going to upskill, and I want to help people on that journey, whether with the estate agency or they're with high street or online. It doesn't freaking matter to me. It's how
Mm.
does the end user, the client, genuinely get that world-class service, and how can we help them get there?
Oh, mate, absolutely love that. And that's exactly why you're elite. That is exactly why the other guys that are coming on this podcast are elite, because they're not scared. They're not scared of doing what's right.
No, and I want to shout out my old business partner, Dominic Murphy, up in Solihull, runs DM and Co Homes. He did a great podcast with you on basically saying his guys will go out, or he'll go out and turn business down if it's not right.
Mm.
And whilst he's taking less of a market share, his business is better off for it. And the way he had to transition his team and go through it, absolute hats off to him. So, Dom, if you're listening, I'm sure you are. Really great to hear, buddy.
No, but do you know what? And that's where I see, personally, that's where I see the industry going. I think it takes a few mavericks. I know from personal experience, I had a guy who bought a franchise that I was a sales manager in, and within that office, I had a valuation to instruction rate of 1 in 1. My valuation accuracy rate was 99.47%. My days on market was 29.5 days. Now this was back in that office was 2016, and the market then wasn't particularly that great in central West London. No £1 million properties were being sold or anything, but yet I was still able to do that. And I was like, he overheard a conversation with me and another vendor, and the vendor I had previously agreed her place for about 535 grand, and she then pulled out the sale, then remarketed, and the market was falling, and the best offer I got was 531. And she said to me, but another agent around the corner is telling me that I can get 585. And I said, look, right, if you're really, really, really pushing this 585, and they are telling you that you can absolutely get you the 585, my advice to you right now is we're going to rip up the contract. You're going to walk around the corner and you're going to put your place on the market with them for 585. But what I will say to you is, though, if you do that, you ain't going to get any more than 500 grand. But if that's what you want to do, then you've got to do that, because 531 is the best right now, if you're serious about selling, that we can get you, that anyone can get you. Lo and behold, what does she sell for? 500 grand with the other agent. Now,
I've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely. But the point I was making is that the guy that ran the business, he said to me, his model was different to the model of the previous franchisees. The model of the previous franchisees was go for the second sale. Going for the second sale meant that you can be confident enough to get the sale first time. Yeah, because you're not relying on, oh man, I need to hit this KPI because I don't want to be sitting on a Monday morning telling him why I've not been instructed. Whereas the new fella was like, I want you to overvalue everything by 10-15% to make sure we get it, because we're competing with over 100 agents in this area. And I was like, that's not our problem. Our problem is message. We don't have a message. We don't have anything we stand for. So yeah, by the way, my resignation letter was on his desk about half an hour after he told me that, because I thought no fucking chance, and I left the business.
I love it. I love it. Again, it comes down to how do you agents, and I did this, right? I dropped my pants when a PB board came on my road, and I was the classic, oh, this is the worst thing. Agents need to spend so much time, and I know this won't go out till after Christmas, but what I'm saying to all our guys at the estate agency is, yes, we've got a business plan in place. We know what our individual business KPIs are, not the high street or online KPIs, the KPIs that the agents set using our framework. But come January, we really, and I think Q1, by the way, I'm not sure when this will go out, of 2024 is going to be probably the best time and the best part of 2024. You need to emotionally be able to describe in 10 seconds your value proposition. And then if I push you, I need within 2 minutes to understand why you're the agent of choice. And spend the time off articulating that. When you're sat around the table with uncles, cousins, brothers, whoever, ask them, listen, what do you want in an agent? Would this line work? Is this work? Because articulating value, again, most agents that I speak to can't do it at the level of our North American or Australian cousins. They really, really can't. And it's crazy. And it's such an easy thing to go and do, but we just don't spend the time doing it.
I know. So a very quick story. There's another guy, John Afanasu, right, really good friend of mine. One of the an agent much better than me, right? A bomb could go off inside a house and somehow he'd still get it to exchange. And it was like, how the fuck is he doing this, right? Again, he was elite. He then was running an office for Sterling Ackroyd in North London, doing like silly money, right? Proper silly money. And that was the direct result of him. Now, he had wanted to get his flat valued, and he called three agents, and he said, right, it's agent A, B, and C. So I'm calling agent A now, and I'm saying, right, I've just spoken to agent B and agent C. They've told me why they are the ones actually that should be selling my property. I just want to know what's really good about you and why I should invite you over to my property to value it. He hadn't spoken to agent B or C at that time, and then did the same thing. Right, I've just spoken to agent A and agent C. Agent B, why are you the person to be selling my flat? Yeah, what is really good about you? What all three agents all said that they would get back to him. They didn't know the answer. They all said they would get back to him, and none of the three actually got back to him. So he didn't even invite any of the three of them to the house. And I was like, no, really? And he was like, yep. They just didn't even come back to him. And I was like, wow, if you believe in what you do as an agent and you have a methodology and a strategy and a way of actually maximizing value, surely you would say it. The fact that they didn't means they don't. Slap it on right move and see what happens.
Let me put you on the spot. How many agents do you think, if you were to take 100 agents across the UK, how many agents do you think believe in what they do percentage wise?
Oh man, if you'd have said 1,000, because I'm interviewing some really good agents right now, and I've got a load in the pipeline as well. So all the guys I'm interviewing have all got a way they do business. Yeah, so you said led with agent. It's the agent. It's the negotiator. It's the way they're skilled. They understand consumer psychology, sales psychology, behavioral psychology. They understand those things, right? So I'm interviewing some really fucking good guys, including you. Yeah, that's why you're on the podcast, because I'm like, I need to learn. Yeah. So if you'd have said 1,000, I probably would have said fucking maybe a. I don't. Basically, but the figure is low. The figure is low because when I speak to agents, I'm like, man, who the fuck are you? What are you actually doing? How are you an agent? How are you an agent? The mind boggles. But yeah, basically, I would say the vast majority, despite the brand name above someone's head, the vast majority are shit. And by the way, there's loads that want to be good. I received an email last night, a text message last night on TikTok from someone that said, I've listened to every single one of these podcasts. Thank you so much. I am learning so much from the guests that you're having. This is amazing, right? And it's like, wow, that was out of the blue. Didn't expect that, right? And it's a really, really cool thing to hear. So there are agents that want to be better. Unfortunately, though, sometimes they fall into an agency that's KPIs supersedes doing what's right. So an agent with a heart, male, female, right, whoever, they don't get to learn because they end up not learning anything, and then they end up drifting off. But if they ended up meeting, say, we spoke about Ben Madden, Perry Power, any of the other guys that are actually been on the podcast, if they actually had those as bosses, as mentors, as people that enabled them to cut their teeth on their dime, but actually they showed them the real way of doing it, holy shit, yeah. Otherwise, it takes a maverick to say, no, I'm doing it my way. And that takes balls in an office which is built on KPIs.
And I think I'm not blaming the agent here. I'm blaming the industry. And I need to be really, really clear on that. And for me, it's the environment, it's the culture, it's the history of a state agency, it's the lack of proper training, it's the lack of evolution in the training, and it's the system where if you're plugged into certain models without you ultimately have to just fall in line. And when you say, why do you do it that way? Oh, we've always done it this way. There's no room. And again, because the margins are so low in the majority, I'll call it out, and the majority of independent high street businesses, the margins are so low, if at all any, being propped up by lettings books, certainly over the last year of 23, there's no room to invest or take time off. But for me, there is. It's just creating that time, and it's a mindset shift. And I can see it coming. I can see it coming. And I if I can be part of that along with some of the other great names you mentioned, Perry, unfortunately, I have to say Ben as well. Then for me, it's, we can all learn and adapt together. And actually, one thing I want to do as well for anyone that's listening to this, I'm a huge advocate is you win the market appraisal, the vow, the listing appointment, whatever you call it, before you get there. And the script that we use means that we actually ask for permission to get the contract signed then and there on the day. If anyone wants that as a bit of a gift, just drop me a DM and I'll with your email and mobile number, and I'll get that over to you.
Yeah, mate, that's amazing. Now, with regards to the estate agency, what does it stand for?
I think that I've been really, really clear. The estate agency model in the UK needs to change. And the brokerage model I see, if you look at, I think it's the 20 CI data, since 2019, the self-employed model has gone up by 500%. I think in 2024, that figure will probably, that 500% will double, if that makes sense. So I think a lot of people now are going, on the whole, and again, not all high streets are bad, not all onlines are bad. But on the whole, our industry needs to evolve and adapt very, very quickly. And agents want to earn more and not feel trapped and have their time back. And also, they really want to do a better job for the client, but they can't due to KPIs, etc. So what we did with the estate agency, I used to be part of Keller Williams, which is an incredible model. You've got EXP, which are great. And what I've tried to do is take the best bits of the North American models that I think we can anglicize, leave the Stetsons, the cowboy hats, the American shareholders and hoo-ha at the door, and produce a pure British brokerage model that takes the best bits of UK estate agency and our North American and Australian models, and focus on the gaps I think that are missing. So there's some great UK based ones, I say great North American ones, but I think if we can tie them together and focusing on the gaps that are missing, then hopefully we can be the front runner. And our three pillars of differentiation are support, marketing, and technology, and we really, really push those. And I think the final thing to say without going into a sales spiel is our why is to help agents grow profitable businesses that can live the lives they want. And that's genuine. I don't want, we're turning people down to join the business. Well, by the time it airs, we'll probably be about 50 associates. By the end of Q1, we want to be at 60, 70. So we haven't got really aggressive targets, but I want to help people grow profitable businesses and plug in. And we won't be right for everyone, or not everyone will be right for us. And of course, we will lose some agents, but do I want it to be up at 30, 40% like the other models? In some cases, 50? No. Do I want the listing per agent to be so low? No. Do I care about profit? Because money's good for the good it can do, and helping agents go from estate agents to business owners and all the bits in between. That's what I fucking live for.
Absolutely, mate. I love that. And if you had to describe, we know it's the agent, and I agree with you, right? It's the agent. I always lead with price. When I say what is the one thing that truly maximizes the value of someone's home, I lead with price. And the reason I say price is not because it's actually the main reason. It's because most agents are not there for the right reasons, valuing property. They're there to meet KPIs. If you end up meeting an agent that ain't got a fucking clue, but the property's on the market for the right price, then that is the time when the property will sell itself. And then, but more often than not, it's not the case. What you said is actually more the case when you're talking about elite level, i.e. the agent, the understanding of how it all works. But if you had to describe in one word, the one thing that makes the best agents, what would you say that word is?
Learning based and coachable.
Hang on.
So it's a couple of words. And
that was 4.
For me, it's non-arrogant, non-ego, or maybe just coachable. Right. I am not the finished article. I am fortunate enough to know some of the literally biggest agents on the planet, guys that sell 12,000 homes a year, like another level. And they are not the finished article. They meet up together. It doesn't matter what brokerage they're part of, and they push and they push and they learn and they evolve. We need to evolve here in the UK quick time.